What is up, guys? It is Coaster Watch here, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my full thoughts and review of Maverick, the Intamin Blitz roller coaster located at Cedar Point. And Maverick is just an outstanding ride. It is truly the king of variety. It has the most variety out of any roller coaster I've been on. This thing offers intensity, airtime, laterals, fast transitions, decent inversions, and so many other things. This coaster has great restraints and trains. There is a lot going for this coaster, but I think there's going to be one noticeable flaw that I'm going to point out towards the end of this review. But Maverick isn't really the tallest coaster out there. It's just over 100 feet tall, reaches a top speed of 70 miles per hour, features technically 2 launches, 2 inversions, 2 stangle dives, many bank turns and switchbacks. This coaster has it all. So I'm going to be going through the full experience of this coaster. So you're going to walk under your sign, head through the queue line, and this coaster has decent theming for Cedar Fair. So then you're going to pull down your over-the-shoulder harnesses, and I recommend you sit towards the back train because this coaster does have a double loading station, but the back train is usually going to have a shorter wait because GP. And second, I do prefer back car because when you're sitting on the launch track waiting for your turn to go up the launch lift hill, you have time to loosen up your seatbelt a little bit so you get more airtime and you can feel it more in your upper body. So I highly recommend you do that. And I also highly recommend you sit in the back row. That is the way to go on this coaster. But anywho, head up your launch, head up your lift hill. I kind of just consider it as a lift hill. Then you head down your 95-degree drop, 100 feet tall. This thing is absolutely insane. If you haven't seen my top 10 drops I've experienced, please go check that out because this coaster's drop definitely makes a list. It is just absolutely crazy. And you head through some switchbacks, some bank turns, and these things have you absolutely glued to the ground. You cannot move your body. And you go into a transition hit into the next bank turn. So you're just getting thrown around. You have so much airtime and laterals, and then you're just getting glued back to the ground again. Then you head up for an ejector airtime hill, which gives you some really, really nice ejector airtime, even if you are stapled. I did get 1 or 2 stapled rides, and I still managed to get some decent airtime. Head into another bank turn, then you head into your I believe it's the horseshoe roll, twisted horseshoe roll. And this element's just okay. It's 2 corkscrew-like elements, and they're not really that great. In the front row, when the coaster's running slower, you get hang time. But in the back row at night, it's not really whippy enough, but it doesn't really give any hang time. So they're not the best inversions. Then you're going to come to a complete halt. Then you're going to hear lights flashing, and you're going to hear a train going off, like a railroad crossing. And then you're going to head into your 70-mile-per-hour launch, and this thing is absolutely nuts. It is my second favorite launch I've experienced. It is so much fun just shooting out of this tunnel. Then you're going to make a left-hand bank turn, which is probably my favorite bank turn on the ride. You just get absolutely glued to your seat. And when you're riding this thing at night, you cannot see it at all, so it is the most unexpected thing in the world. Then you're going to head up this sort of hill thing. It kind of goes up this hill, long stretched out. It could actually give some insane ejector airtime if it wasn't trimmed. This trim slows you down about a good 15 miles per hour. It is really, really sad. It kind of sucks. And then you're going to head through an S-curve, which is where the Heartline roll used to be, which is really unfortunate because this thing probably would have been so much more insane with that Heartline roll. And you're going to head into a stangle dive, go down close to the ground, head into another stangle dive, enter an ejector airtime hill, and hit your final brake run. This coaster is just absolutely monstrous. Again, this coaster has some really nice moments of airtime, laterals, bank turns, intensity. This coaster has it all. But here's my problem with this coaster. It doesn't do everything to an elite level. Like, it does airtime good, and it does intensity good, but it's nowhere near the best airtime on a coaster I've experienced. Probably not even top 5. Nowhere near the most intense coaster I've experienced. That's maybe top 5. And this coaster has good laterals, probably the best laterals I've experienced. There's some of the best laterals, I guess, because I haven't really experienced too many coasters with good laterals. But this coaster definitely does accomplish a lot, but it doesn't quite do it to an elite level. That's why I have problems with rides such as Fury and Helix, because they do a lot of things well, but they don't necessarily do anything like as number 1 or like top 10 in the world. Like this ride, I couldn't see it being a top 10 for intensity or airtime. In terms of well-roundedness, yeah, but that's not really what I look for. It doesn't really have a standout quality to it besides doing everything decent at best. But that's all the negatives I have for this coaster. This coaster is really smooth. I rode it a total of 14 times. Didn't notice a rattle at all. This coaster is just so much fun to marathon. There was a time where I got like 7 rides in a row. It was on my first day here, and this ride is absolutely crazy. It will always go down. It's one of my personal favorites, and also just one of my best roller coasters that I've ridden. This coaster is so much fun, and people do say this coaster is overrated, and I think I'd have to agree with that. Some people say this thing can be top 10 in the world, but I cannot see that at all. It's top 5 from what I've ridden. If you haven't seen my top 25 yet, go check that out. This coaster is great, but it's not as great as some people make it out to be. And this coaster it's good, but I do think there are some moments that are overrated. I do think the launch is a little overrated. I think the Stangle dives are honestly pretty overrated. I didn't find the Stangle dives to be all that insane. They were insane for sure. They were some of the best moments I've experienced on a coaster. But the Stangle dives weren't exactly like a crazy be-all, end-all element. So for its final score, I'm going to be giving Maverick a 9.5 out of 10. The only thing that could be missing to give it is 10 out of 10. I don't know, maybe if it removed those trims at the top of that hill, like this thing would be a 10 out of 10 for sure. And maybe if it didn't slow down all the way, it creates for a much better launch if it doesn't slow down all the way in the tunnel. But it definitely kind of messes with the pacing a little bit. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to drop your thoughts on Maverick and this video below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you all next time. Peace out.